Today, we are going to dive into a topic that's often overlooked but incredibly important for maintaining the beauty and integrity of your home: drywall repair. Now, whether you're dealing with a small gash or a major hole, knowing how to fix drywall correctly can save you time, money, and a lot of frustration. My guest today is Ted Speers, the president of the Patch Boys, the only national drywall repair company in the U.S. So why should you as a homeowner care about drywall repair? Fixing drywall the right way is crucial. It ensures the repairs are seamless, durable, and blend perfectly with the rest of your walls. Now, whether you're preparing your home for sale, just moved in, or have been putting off repairs for years, this episode will equip you with the knowledge you need to tackle drywall damage head on. I'm George Siegel, and this is Homeowners Be Aware, the podcast that teaches you everything you need to know about being a homeowner. Ted, thank you so much for joining me today.
George, excited to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting. We were talking before we went on, and you're in Michigan. I worked in Detroit for 3 years, so that's an exciting connection. And as I was telling you, I loved living there, minus the cold weather.
Yeah, it gets a little chilly up here, but it's predictable and it makes spring, summer, and fall all that more enjoyable.
Oh, there's nothing more beautiful than fall when the leaves are turning, the apple cider's out, and it's incredible. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Patch Boys. Sounds like a gang, but it's not. You guys do some interesting stuff. Tell me about the Patch Boys.
Yeah, the Patch Boys is a fascinating business. It's really a niche market business that the original founder, more than 10 years ago, stumbled upon because he would go into homes and people would be trying to get small drywall repair fixed. And nobody wanted to do it because, a lot of the drywall companies, they did the big stuff, right? They drywall your home or, you'd want to drywall your basement. But the problem is when you have a leak in your upstairs bathroom, and it comes through, through the ceiling and it's right in your dining room and it looks terrible. You get the plumber to come and fix it, but nobody wants to come and fix that hole. And so along the way, this concept was developed and, the Belfour Franchise Group, who I work for, purchased the Patch Boys about 4 years ago. And we've grown it from 35 franchisees to over 110, now a national presence, and we're still growing.
So it sounds interesting, but what I would want to know is, okay, so I have this hole. I need somebody to come out and fix it. A lot of times when I've had that, and unfortunately I have had that problem a handful of times, the painter has done it. So what's the difference is this just an extra step and then it's easier to find somebody to run out and paint afterwards? So you're kind of separating those two tasks?
I mean, good question. I mean, I'm sure there, painters that can do this. There are great, people, that can come in and do a variety of things. What we do is we specialize in making sure that hole goes away 100%. And so we not only fix the hole right, and probably 60% of our jobs, George, are ceiling jobs. When you think of it, water coming from upstairs, water coming from the roof, people stepping through things, basically in the attic when they're working on things, that's where those holes come from. And then our franchisees, that we work, train, and hire technicians that specialize in drywall repair. And then once we make that hole go away, sure, we prime, and many of our franchisees paint too, because customers, they like to make one call and have that hole gone and have their house, back to the way it was.
Well, anybody that's ever, well, first of all, tried to do that themselves or seen a bad drywall job, it really stands out. So with the artists, the people that are good at it, you don't even know there was a hole there when they're done.
And I'm fascinated. I always joke that, hey, I am not a drywall specialist. I can do it, but you wouldn't want to pay me to do it. Okay. I just want to, but it's art and science because it's a combination of, making sure that, you're putting the mud on it right. You're fixing the hole. You're putting 3 coats. there's sanding involved, and there's priming and paint with, the goal, it's that hole is gone. And so you're right, it's fascinating. And we all go, I travel with our franchisees out, out. I was just in Jacksonville, Fort Lauderdale, a couple of weeks ago, and we go out work with our technicians, and they're pros. I mean, they know how to do, fix any of those issues that are there, make sure it's clean too, because the last, drywall's messy, I got to tell you. So, we make sure that home is clean and plastic is there. So when we walk away, it's not only the hole is gone, we make sure your house is as clean as it was when we walked through the door.
Now, yeah, if anybody that's ever even tried to plug little holes where you had pictures or something, it's hard to get that right. You put the spackle in and you get it down there, but when a painter's done that for me, I haven't even noticed it. When I do it, it looks like it's a polka dotted room.
I have to tell you, and it's a no judgment zone for us, in terms of, but we get so many calls from spouses, husband or wives, and say, well, we tried to fix it. It didn't turn out that well. Can you come over so that it looks right? And so, yes, people try it all the time, but it's not easy. It is not easy, and there's definitely science to the process in terms of getting that mud to dry and making sure that it's, that whole smooth, and then, the priming and painting to make sure it blends in. So it's gone, because that's, as a homeowner, I've had it done in my house a number of times. You want it gone. That's all. I don't care how you do it. I just want to make sure that it's gone, so that, hey, when we're entertaining or whatever, my brother's not pointing up at the ceiling going, hey, Ted, nice try.
Yeah. Hey, nice job, Ted. So when you call somebody out, is it by the job? Is it by the hour? How do you guys price out so somebody knows, well, I'll wait till I have a few more holes, then I'll call these guys.
It's we set it up by the job, and we try to keep it as simple as possible, half day, full day, and then increments of that, and then there's some fine tuning of the pricing that's there, but we try to keep it as simple as possible for the customer, so they can kind of understand in terms of, hey, the smaller the job, for the most part, the less time it takes. And then when you get into ceiling work, like I talked to you about, that takes more time, because, hey, the higher you go, you need ladders, you need to make sure your site is clean. And when you're working up on the ceiling, dust kind of goes everywhere. So we have to set up more plastic. And then, yeah, sometimes we will come into a home, and if you just have one hole, one wall, we'll say, you know what, you got a stress crack over here for the same amount of money. We can do both. Like
Mhm.
I did a laundry room. I had guys do my laundry room, and we kept my dog in the laundry room when we weren't there, and she had scratched up the wall, and the guy goes, tell you what, I'll do this and this, and I can get it all done for that half day job. I was like, fantastic.
Now, a lot of the challenges with trades are, and especially from an employer point of view, is finding good people that want to work and want to show up. How has that challenge been? Because you guys are growing pretty fast.
That's the number one challenge. I mean, I think everybody understands that, in our business, or any type of construction business, is getting good workers. And that's our number one priority when we launch a franchise. And it's our focus, because, we like to differentiate ourselves not only from our quality of work, but, in terms of what our brand stands for. And so, we want to be on time. We want to make sure we're treating the customer with respect. We want a clean job site, and we want a great job. In order to do that, you need to have people that are working with you that understand the importance, and then can do the work. And so that is one of our, biggest focuses of the company, is making sure we're getting experienced technicians, because it takes time. The art and science, it's not something, I can train you on in 2 weeks. We like to hire people that have years of experience, have gone through it, and then make sure that they understand what our brand stands for, and then treat them great. We really, try to treat our technicians well, and they're part of the team. And with that, we've been able to grow.
Now, anybody that watches HGTV or DIY channels or YouTube videos, they're always trying to show you how to fix things really quickly. What are some of the common mistakes that people make when they're trying to fix drywall?
Well, and number one, and this happens a lot. Well, and there's a couple things, but the longer you wait, the worse it can get. And so no, normally when you have drywall and it's a ceiling, it's some type of leak. And we'll walk into a home, George, and they'll, the first question we'll ask is, "Hey, have you fixed the leak?" Because the last thing we want to do is fix something and then it comes back. It comes back later. And so we want to make sure that that leak is fixed. And having something sit there. I've walked into a dining room, in Chicago a couple months ago, and that ceiling was getting ready to fall. Somebody if you let it, the longer you wait, the worse the circumstances that are there. So, the sooner you raise your hand and reach out to, to us or someone, the better it is so that you can come out and, we can come out and make sure we get those fixed that are there. And water is something that impacts your drywall. Sometimes you'll see bubbling, in a paint, on a side wall, and a lot of times that's because of the water that's coming, either through, your window or it's leaked down, from a ceiling. And those are things that, hey, you can just fix it, but you also have to make sure you get rid of that moisture because moisture can lead to a lot of other things besides bubbling, mold and eroding of the wall or the structure.
Absolutely. And, I looked this up. I thought it was really interesting. You know why they call it drywall?
Tell me.
Oh, there's actually a story behind it. There was a whole section on Google. So then I guess I don't know how accurate that is, but when it said because it's dry, all four walls are dry, and there's no. But as I was reading that, I was going, but if you have to put the mud on there and you have to do certain things, isn't that putting wet on dry? So if you don't have the answer for that, then we really don't need to go down this trail because I know nothing about drywall.
Yeah, well, and the funny thing you bring up is, have you heard the term sheetrock?
Yes.
So what's the difference between sheetrock and drywall?
See, now you stumped me. I haven't. I don't have a clue.
No difference. Sheetrock is a brand name for drywall that, especially in the South, has kind of taken over for the generic term of drywall, just like Kleenex and tissue.
Hmm.
Kleenex is so popular, and so sheetrock is actually a brand name for drywall that a lot of people will use, as a synonym for drywall that's there.
And I did learn that it's not as simple as just running into the local home supply store and buying it. You need to know the thickness of what you're trying to match it with. I mean, there are certain elements, and I saw a guy take out a bunch of popsicle sticks and all this other stuff, and I'm going, yeah, I probably want a professional to do this because I'm going to make a mess.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the things that we run into. You might say popsicle sticks, or we call them backers. So a lot of times behind the wall, you need to affix the drywall, and a lot of times it's not a full sheet. I'm cutting out maybe a 3 by 3, piece of drywall, and then cutting the drywall so we fit it in, and then I use what we call a backer, any type of wood that I can screw into so that I can put my drywall in. But there's so many different ways that you can use it, but you really want to make sure that somebody knows what they're doing when they're in your home.
Now, earlier this season, my wife and I were at a Tampa Bay Lightning hockey game, and this young guy they put up on the board before the game, it was his first game in the NHL, and he scored a goal that night. And then when I was reading about you, you have something in common with this guy. What tell us about that?
Yeah, yeah, that is funny. I knew where you're going when you said that, but yeah. So I was a hockey player growing up in Michigan, and I played at University of Michigan, and then I signed with the Wings, and I played mostly in the minors, but I got called up to play with the Detroit Red Wings back in the late 80s. And for a variety of reasons, I'd been called up before and sat in the press box, and my dad was coming in for this game that I was going to play with. And I asked the coach if I was playing because my dad was going to fly in from Baltimore to Detroit the day of, expensive flight. And the coach said, "Tell you what, Ted, if your dad comes in, you can start." So Brad Park was the coach, and I started that game. Um, First shift, first game, 52 seconds into the game, I scored a goal. So I only played 4 games in the NHL. You can look it up; it's there. But my claim to fame is I still am in the top 10 of the fastest first goal in the NHL for somebody that's just started.
Wow, congratulations. Did you get in many fights?
I didn't. I didn't. I mean, back then everybody got in some. I definitely got in, some fights, but coming from college at that time, if you fought in college, you got suspended for, the game. So I'm not gonna lie and say I was a great fighter, but I definitely got in a few fights, and I was probably more of a wrestler than a fighter when I got in those fights.
Man, one of the greatest moments I've ever seen when I was living there was when it was Darren McCarty and
Yep.
Claude Lemieux, when
Oh
Lemieux had
yes.
injured Chris Draper,
Hmm.
and it was payback time. That was
Yes, it was.
incredible.
That was unbelievable. You talk about the Wings against the Avalanche, and that was in '97 when the Wings eventually won the Stanley Cup for the first time in 42 years. And you're right, that rivalry and those fights, and Detroit's such a blue collar town, sticking up for somebody that we felt was wrong, and wow, that was a lot of fun, and those years with the Wings, that fond memories.
A lot of people say that hockey players are really nice guys when they're off the ice, but on the ice, they're crazy.
Yeah, I had a lot of teammates, and some guys that are still involved in the NHL, and as teammates, we do anything for your teammate to help each other off the ice. Nicest guys ever. I played, and then I worked for the Wings for 10 years on the marketing side, and dealing with professional athletes, and sure they have a lot of things going on, but very personable, and had a great perspective.
Yeah, I was a Lakers fan growing up, and so I hated the Pistons. And one Sunday night,
The
because I was,
bad boys.
yeah, I know. And who was it? It was Rick Mahorn was one of the players I hated the most. And he was at the station that night, and he came up and shook my hand and said he enjoyed watching me, and it was nice to meet me. And I felt like such an asshole for hating the guy after that. I go, this is a really nice guy, but he was not nice on the court. Those guys were tough.
Yeah. Well, and you have to be in order, I mean, in order to get to a certain level, you have to protect yourself. You have to, there's certain skills that you develop, and so it's something that, Rick Mahorn, Bill Lambier, all those bad boys. I mean, they played a certain way of basketball so they could be successful. And hey, I'm still a Pistons
Yeah, no, I bet. But I'll never like Lambier. I'm sorry. That's
fan.
that one's off the market completely and
All
never changing my
right.
opinion.
All right. I like Bill, but that's okay.
Okay, let's bring this back around to drywall and wrap it up with that. So the number one thing that a homeowner should do, I have a drywall problem. Tell me the steps I should take to tackle that.
Don't wait. Don't wait. Get somebody, if it's Patch Boys, great, but get somebody in there to take a look at it, because a lot of time, everything's behind the wall, and that's really where our business started. It's, electrical's behind the wall, plumbing's behind the wall, you have HVAC, you have so many things that are behind the wall. And that's one of the reasons we work a lot with, a variety of contractors, because, you'll do a flood cut, somebody has flooding in their home, you have to go in, you have to get 2 or 3 feet of drywall out of that area, and get it all dried up, and then they call us. And so, my number one thing is is don't wait. Don't wait to do it. And then in terms of, from our standpoint, what we like to talk about is if you call us, we're going to make sure it's done right. We're a national company. We're owned by Belfor, which is an international company. And so you can trust us. If there's ever a question, you can call one of the franchisees. You call me. I get calls all the time from a customer that has a question. We're not going anywhere. We stand behind our work, and we want to make sure that customer is 100% satisfied.
Excellent. Well, all your contact information will be in the show notes. And congratulations on that goal. And
I do have the puck on the wall. Just they give you a plaque and everything. So, for my one goal, George.
That's awesome. Hey, Ted, thank you so much for coming on today.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time to listen today. See you next time.